I'm Nina Shea. I direct the Center for Religious Freedom here at the Hudson Institute. And it is a pivotal time in the Middle East, just after the Islamic State has been defeated in its capital of Raqqa in Syria. And it is my immense honor to welcome His Beatitude, John X from Syria, the Patriarch of the Antiochian Orthodox Church, as well as His Eminence, Metropolitan Joseph of North America. The Antiochian Church is said to be the oldest Christian church in the world. In fact, we learn from the scripture in Acts that it is the first time that the disciples are called Christians was in Antioch. It, along with Syria and Iraq's other Christian communities, is extremely vulnerable. It has been targeted by ISIS for genocide, by the Islamic State for genocide. And as these areas are becoming liberated, the facts are just becoming fully known. The press reports today that a mass grave of civilians in the city where there was a significant Christian community in Karatain, Syria, was uncovered. This is the place where the Islamic State supposedly had a jizya contract with these people and for these Christians, and treated them with respect as people of the book. As the Hudson Center for Religious Freedom reported last year, that this was entirely ISIS or Islamic State propaganda. It was far from the truth. In fact, the truth was just the opposite. The last few days, the Times of London have also reported on 35 Christian villages along the Kabul River that were attacked in 2015 by the Islamic State, and how they have been wiped out, that their residents have either all fled and scattered through Europe, or they have, some were killed, and at least one woman is missing, having been taken as a jihadi bride. And this persecution has hit very close to home with the Patriarch. His own brother, Archbishop Boulos, was taken captive and has not been heard from since 3 years ago, along with Archbishop Ibrahim, also an Orthodox Archbishop. It is important that we in Washington hear the Patriarch's perspective, and my colleague, Hudson Fellow Samuel Tadros, will be the moderator today. Sam is a leading expert in the Coptic Church in Egypt, but he's also a foremost expert in extremism in the Middle East. So thank you all very much for coming today.
Okay. Thank you, Nina, for the introduction, and we're greatly honored, of course, to have the Patriarch and the Metropolitan with us here today. Let me start by asking you, in your most recent letter to your flock, to the Orthodox community in Syria, you wrote, "We thank God who gave us as a church the spirit of strength, love, and insight to testify for him within the difficult circumstances that our world and especially our country suffers from." In what way has the Church of Antioch and the Patriarch been able to offer witness for Christ amid such a turmoil that Syria is suffering from?
أولاً بريد أعبر عن فرحي قبل ما أجاوب على السؤال الكبير بوجودي معكم مع سيدنا جوزيف في الانستيتيوت في هاتسون انستيتيوت.
First of all, I would like to express my gratitude along with the gratitude for His Eminence Metropolitan Joseph and for the Hudson Institute for this gathering.
بريد جاوب على السؤال الذي ذكر لنعبر عن أعطي مثال أو قصة أبتدأ بها عن الروح اللي بنحفظها في كنيستنا المسيحية الأرثوذكسية المشرقية وكل المسيحيين بالمشرق بشكل عام راح أروي الحادثة.
In particular, I would like to focus in my message about the spirit of the Eastern Antiochian Orthodox Church in the East.
يقال في الأدب النسكي القديم يروى هذه الحادثة.
In the ascetic tradition and literature, there is this incident
أن أحد الآباء القديسين الكبار مكاريوس المصري من مصر
that Macarius the Egyptian, one of the great ascetics fathers,
كان يتمشى في الصحراء
he was traveling in the desert
وبيشاهد على جانب الطريق جمجمة أرعى لشخص
and on the road he discovered a skull.
فبعصاه بينقر بيدفع الجمجمة وبيسأل جمجمة من تكونين.
So he pushed it with his rod and he asked who that person was that belonged to that skull.
بيجي جواب بيسمع جواب أنا جمجمة رجل شرير ورجل خاطئ.
And the answer is that I belong to a sinful person.
وأين أنت الآن؟
And he says, where are you now?
يأتيه الجواب أنا في الجحيم السفلى.
He says, I am in Hades, in the lower parts of the earth.
بيسأله وبماذا تشعر؟
And he says, and how do you feel there?
قال له بعذاب وألم كبيرين.
He says, there is so much pain and sadness.
قال له ولماذا عم تشعر بألم وبحزن؟
And why is this sadness and pain?
كان الجواب هو التالي
And his answer was,
أنه نحن في الجحيم مربوطين مقيدين.
in Hades, we are fastened back to back.
كل اثنين كل واحد على ظهر الثاني ظهره على ظهر الآخر.
We are fastened back to back between two people.
يعني بشكل أنه الواحد منا لا يستطيع أن يرى وجه الآخر.
So that we cannot even see the other person who is fastened to our back.
وهذا هو الجحيم الحقيقي.
And that's exactly what Hades is all about.
والرسالة من هذه القصة أن الآخر وجه الآخر هو السماء وهو الفردوس.
And so the other person and the other face is what heaven is all about.
وفي هذا العالم الذي نعيش فيه ونسمع في كل أنحاء العالم عن القتل، عن التطرف، عن الدمار، عن التفجير كما سمعنا منذ قليل وذكرت نينا.
And in this world today, as we experience all sorts of extremism, destruction, killing, and death, as was mentioned by Miss Nina,
رسالتنا تبقى ثابتة ودائمة.
our message is immovable and stands as
كما كان يقول القديس سرافيم ساروف للآخر أنه يا فرحي وقت كان يلتقى مع شخص آخر يقول له يا فرحي.
As Saint Sarof of Alaska used to say, you being the other person is the source of my joy.
وليس كما يعلم الآخرون أن الآخر بالنسبة لك هو الجحيم وهو الخصم.
Unlike those who consider the other as being Hades and an enemy.
وهذا ما أردنا أن ننوه له ونؤكد عليه في الرسالة الرعائية. هذه المسج.
This was the message that he expressed in his recent encyclical that he published.
المحبة.
Which is basically love.
وكما يقول الرسول يوحنا في رسالته.
As Saint John says in his epistle.
من يدعي ويقول أنه يحب الله وهو لا يحب أخاه.
He who claims that they love God but do not love their brother.
قد يكون الكلام قاسي ولكنه يقول فهو كاذب.
is a liar.
لأنه كيف يستطيع أن يحب الله الذي لا يراه ويبغض أخاه الذي يراه؟
Because you cannot love God whom do you not see and claim to love the brother whom you see.
فنحن ككنيسة مشرقية كما علمنا السيد،
We as an Eastern Orthodox Church, as was taught by our Lord and Master,
نبقى هذا الصوت، صوت المحبة والسلام واحترام وقبول الآخر.
express the message of love, of peace, and of accepting the other.
وهذا ما نقوم به حتى في أيامنا الحاضرة والصعبة التي نمر بها.
And this is what exactly we do during these tough and difficult times.
ونحن على أحلى العلاقات، علاقات طيبة جدا مع كل أبناء الوطن، أبناء البلد، إن كانوا مسلمين إن كانوا مسيحيين، على أحلى العلاقات مع الجميع.
We have great relationship with all the fabrics of that part of the land, whether they are Christians or Muslims.
خليني أنهي الجواب وأقول أحيانا معينا بنصادف ونلتقي بكثيرين من الناس خاصة في خارج المنطقة الميدل إيست، في أوروبا، في أمريكا، في مناطق متعددة.
Many times repeating myself when we meet with people from outside of the Middle East, whether in Europe or in the United States,
بنلاحظ مثل في ردة فعل عند البعض إيجابية،
we see some positive reactions from them,
وكأنه بعقله الباطني أنه قالوا له بده يشوف شخص ولا بده يلتقي مع أشخاص من الميدل إيست من تلك المنطقة، كأنه نحن أشخاص منخوف ما بنعرف إلا القتل والخراب والتدمير.
we realize that they get impression that we people who are from the Middle East know nothing but destruction and death.
ولكن مثل ما أننا شايفين ببساطة نحن بشر حلوين ومحبين وطيبين والناس بيحبونا وبنحبهم، وهذه هي الحقيقة.
And this is exactly the impression that we have, that we are good people from there and we are nice and we love others.
Thank you. Your Eminence, the work of the Church of Antioch in the United States began in 1895, originally to serve immigrants coming from Syria and Lebanon. Today, you just shocked me with the number of followers you have in North America, 7 million members of the church in North America, served by over 300 churches. And they're not just the descendants of those that immigrated, but on the website and in conversations with many here, people highlight the work of your church in conversion. The Antiochian Church is very successful in attracting non-Syrian Lebanese people to the church. What has been the source of the success, this flourishing of the church in the United States?
Thank you, Sam, for the question. So in 1987, a movement toward orthodoxy, a journey toward orthodoxy started. And so many people found orthodoxy or found in orthodoxy, as I quote the same, or what I heard and what I hear from them, that in orthodoxy they found the discipline and the truth. So that's why many people, American people, Native American people, they have converted to orthodoxy. So that's why we have a department among all our departments we have 37 departments in our archdiocese. One of them, it's called Missions and Evangelism. So we have expert people, we have people who have the knowledge, like to talk to people about orthodoxy, about the Holy Fathers, about the Bible, about like everything, not homilies, but as preaching and as evangelism. So therefore, we have, like beside 1895, when we started our presence in North America, so we came here to shepherd the Lebanese and the Syrian people. But now we have Palestinian, we have Jordanian, we have Egyptians, we have Iraqis, we have Jordanian, we have converts, we have from all over. So that's why, we are growing. You cannot imagine, every day, if I have to open, as the Archbishop of the Antiochian Church in North America, if I have to open the doors, I might bring every day in hundreds and hundreds of people, but we have to go into every request, into every application, into every, and we have to study everything thoroughly, in order, to bring quality, not only, to increase the number. And so this is the makeup of our archdiocese. It's difficult. Maybe in the Greek Church, they don't have this much. In the other churches, they don't have, Russian Church, for example, they don't have what we have in our archdiocese. In our archdiocese, because we have the combination and the mixture of cultures, multicultural, we have in our archdiocese, sometimes we find it, very difficult and very hard.
Thank you. Your Beatitude, in this previously mentioned letter, you also wrote, "We were careful, and as the Patriarchate, not to dictate to our children specific political positions." This is, of course, easier said than done, given the enormous turmoil that the country, that Syria, is suffering from. How does the Church maintain an independent position from the conflict going on in Syria?
كيف الكنيسة بتاخذ دورة؟
نعم، نحن الكنيسة بالطبع كما ذكرت في البداية نحمل رسالة السيد المؤتمنين نحن عليها، والتي هي رسالة خلاص وسلام وفرح لكل الناس.
We as a church are entrusted to carry the message of love and of peace to all people who live in our area.
ولذلك نحن نحب الكل ونساعد الجميع.
We love all and we extend our help to all people there.
ونحن نصلي ونعمل ما نستطيع أن نقوم به ككنيسة في الوقت نفسه.
We work and we express our liturgical prayers and services at the same time.
لمساعدة أبناء الوطن ولمساعدة أبنائنا المسيحيين بشكل خاص.
To help all the citizens in the land, especially the Christians.
للثبات في بلدهم في أرضهم.
So that they may remain in their own homeland and in their places.
والجميع، وهذه كلمة حق، الجميع ليس فقط المسيحيون وإنما حتى المسلمين تحت شمسية قبعة الكنيسة، الكل بيجتمعوا والكل بيلتقوا مع بعضهم البعض.
And under the umbrella of the church, all Christians and Muslims can get together and be one.
بغض النظر عن الانتماءات السياسية التي ممكن كل واحد من هؤلاء الأشخاص أن يكون هو ينتمي إليها.
Regardless of their political affiliations.
فنحن نعم نريد ونطلب ونعمل من أجل السلام والمصالحة.
We work for reconciliation and for peace with all.
وهذا ما ننشده في زيارتنا بوجودنا في الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية وفي جلسة كهذه بشكل خاص أن نؤكد عليه.
And this is what we seek in our visit to the United States, most importantly, especially in this gathering here this afternoon.
أن تعلموا أننا أشخاص طلاب سلام
to know that we are people seeking peace
ولا نريد الحروب.
and we are against wars.
ونحن كما ذكرت في البداية نلقى في وجه الآخر الأخ والقريب.
And we look into the face of the other as being a relative and a brother or a sister.
ولذلك الجميع بما فيه كل المجتمع الدولي مدعو.
We ask and we call for the international community
ندعو من أجل الدفع لإيجاد حل سلمي سياسي في سوريا وفي المنطقة بأكملها.
to push for a peaceful settlement in the region and in Syria as well,
حتى يعيش شعبنا كله بسلام وبأمان.
so all people there can live in peace and tranquility.
نحن نسعى من أجل هذا الأمر.
This is what we seek,
ونسعى بشكل عملي أن نكون إلى جانب أبنائنا وأخوتنا، أن نساعدهم حتى في لقمة عيشهم على قدر ما نستطيع عبر برامج وأمور نقوم بها حتى يثبتوا ويبقوا في أرضهم.
Through programs and projects, we seek to make people become rooted and established in their own homeland to work and to be productive.
Thank you. Your Eminence, you mentioned 37 departments working under the Archdiocese in North America. One of them in particular caught my attention, and that's the Antiochian Heritage Foundation. Preserving the Christian presence in the Middle East is obviously important, but also preserving their heritage, their old monasteries, the art, and so on. Can you tell us a bit more about the work of this department of the Archdiocese?
You know, in 1895 and before, the migration from the Middle East has started long time ago, before 1895. But our documents show that that the Archdiocese as a church started like in 1895. So therefore, they brought like the first immigrants to the United States, like those who came from England, those who came from, you know, like that's why in November we have Thanksgiving, and it's very important and very dear to all of us, you know, like to celebrate that and to commemorate that. So so our people, the immigrants, you know, like they brought their culture and their heritage and so we are trying to preserve that. We are trying in the Antiochian village, for example, in Pennsylvania, in the state of Pennsylvania, like hour and a half from Pittsburgh. When you go, yesterday we were talking about the Antiochian village. If you go to the Antiochian village, you see like we have around 1,000 acres there, and we have buildings, we have a heritage and learning center, plus we have a museum there. We have a museum there, we have 2 churches there, and we have like, you see some items from the Middle East, those immigrants, those who brought some items, like we have, he reposed in the Lord in 1915, one of the bishops from Damascus, from the Damascene descent, and so he became one of the saints in our archdiocese. That is Saint Raphael Hawawini. He was in Beirut and in Damascus, and he came and he preached here, and he shepherded to the people in North America. So you see some of his items there, his vestments, his mitre, and whatever. So we are trying not only, you know, like in items, but also in the education. We are preserving the heritage and the legacy of all those who, you know, like contributed in this archdiocese. We have a big, beautiful library there in the Antiochian village. So we have also, you know, like the House of Studies, one of the departments, House of Studies Just like a few weeks ago, I was there, and I graduated 135. These people are not students, by the way. We call them, students in the program, but they are doctors, they are physicians, they are lawyers, they are advanced, in life, and they go there to the House of Studies to study more about Orthodoxy and to explore more and more about Orthodoxy. And we call it House of Studies and Learning and Heritage Center. So we try to preserve, the culture in general. We are in the West, we are in the United States, we are in North America, but also it's not like a bad thing to preserve, where we came from.
Does it play any role in an attempt to preserve that heritage inside Syria? I know there's been an attempt, for example, in the liberated areas from the Islamic State, in Iraq especially, to deal with the destruction of Christian monasteries and things like that. Is there any similar attempt being done in Syria in areas where the Islamic State is no longer operating?
To some degree, yes, maybe it is similar, but we like our children, those who were born here, to remember their, the country of origin, where they came from, the countries, and where they came from. So I think when they go to the Antiochian village and see some books, some, portraits, some pictures on the wall, they are remembered. They remember all that.
Okay. Your Beatitude, your own brother, the Metropolitan of Aleppo, has been kidnapped 4 years ago now, together with the Syriac Orthodox, also Bishop of Aleppo. Now that Aleppo's battle is over, or at least a part of it, the city is now more under regime control. Is there any developments? Have you heard anything about the whereabouts of your brother, of what might have happened during those 4 years?
بكل أسف هذا الموضوع، هذه القضية على أهميتها ومن عدة جوانب، ليس فقط كنسية وإنما هي أيضا قضية إنسانية بامتياز.
Unfortunately, this particular issue transcends being just a religious or a church issue. It is more a humanitarian one.
ولكن من 5 سنوات تقريبا عندما تمت حادثة اختطاف المطرانين،
when the 2 bishops were kidnapped 5 years ago,
للأسف هناك صمت مطبق حول هذا الموضوع في كل العالم.
Unfortunately, there is a total silence expressed by the international community.
تواصلنا منذ بدء بكل الجهات التي تواصلنا معها من دول، من سفارات.
We have communicated with countries and embassies and all those who were concerned.
ولكن حتى تاريخه
until today
لا نسمع جوابا. الكل nothing.
We don't have any particular positive answer, just simply nothing.
وهذا مؤسف ومعيب بحق الإنسانية.
And this is unfortunate against humanity.
ولكن نحن رغم ذلك نبقى على رجاء كبير وعلى إيمان كبير.
Despite all that, we have our great hope and our faith.
نحن نصلي أن يكونا بسلام جسديا.
And pray that they will be safe.
ونسعى ونحاول وما زلنا لنعرف شيء عن مصيرهم أو عودتهم أو ما شابه.
And try our best to know about their destiny and about their ultimate return.
ونأمل من المجتمع الدولي في الزيارة منذ 2 عندما التقينا بنيويورك بنائب الأمين العام للأمم المتحدة، ذكرنا هذا الأمر
2 years ago when we met with the officials of the United Nations. We mentioned that to them.
وتساءلت أين هي حقوق الإنسان
And I asked the question, where are the human rights?
وفي الوقت الذي نحن فيه موجودين في هذه الدار الكريمة التي تتكلم عن حقوق الإنسان
Especially at the time where we are gathered in a place that talks about human rights.
عندما نتطلع ونرى الصمت المطبق عن قضية المطرنين.
And when we see this striking silence about these two bishops,
ولذلك نحن كما ذكرت على رجاء ونصلي أن يكونا سالمين وأن ينتهي هذا الملف بعودة المطرنين إلى رعيتهم إلى كنيستهم سالمين.
and we hope that this file will be closed so that these two bishops will return and go back to their own archdioceses.
Your Eminence, you recently attended the Holy Synod meeting of the Antiochian Church. And in the statement issued by the Synod, it said, "We're looking forward to the day where the suffering of the Syrian people ends, a peaceful solution for the Syrian crisis based on freedom, justice, and democracy that guarantees the unity of the country." This last sentence, the unity of the country, as you know, there have been calls in Iraq for a special arrangement for the Christian areas in the Nineveh Plains. There have been always similar talks about the region as a whole, about the crisis will result in redrawing of borders. Why is it so important to maintain the unity of the country after the current conflict?
You know, one day here in Washington, I was invited to a dinner. And many ambassadors and many officials and advisors from the White House were sitting at the table. And next to me, immediately, next to me, there was a big advisor in the White House. He said to me, after he heard that I was born in Damascus, he said to me, what do you think of what's happening in Syria? I said, I have to ask you the same question. And he said to me, we have many plans, A, B, C, so forth. I said, what's on the table? What's on the table? He said to me, and he shocked me by saying that. He said to me, we will divide Syria. And he looked at the map as if there was no map at that dinner, but just like he tried to give me the impression that this is the map and we have to divide Syria here, Sunni, Shia, and Christians. And I said, is this the only plan you have in mind? And you know what I said to him? Shame on you. Shame on you to divide a nation like Syria. Look what happened in Iraq. Look what happened in Iraq. That was a big mistake, the war in Iraq. They could have solved the problem, with much less expenses. Because they made the wrong decision by invading Iraq that way, dividing Iraq into tribes against each other, religious, tribes against each other. So that's why, no one in this world, no one can handle, the situation in Iraq. And it's not going to heal. Not today, not tomorrow, not for 10 years from now, not 30 years from now. So Syria, I said to him, don't make the same mistake. Don't repeat the same mistake. Division, dividing a country, a nation is not a solution. Try to heal. And I said this in the State Department. And I said that at the White House as well. When I've been to the State Department the first time, they mocked me. You're from Syria. And what do you represent? The first time, I was not offended. You know why? Because I am here to fight the good fight. And now Sonia knows very well When we go now to that State Department, they welcome us, with open arms because they want to listen. Now it's time to listen, and now it's time to receive education. And we heard this in the Capitol Hill and everywhere. Now, please educate us. And so therefore, beloved in Christ, there is something to be done by us. His Beatitude is not a politician. I am not a politician. You're not politicians. But we have a message of peace. We can solve problems. We can solve many problems, not by guns and by machines and by tanks and whatever. So we can bring people together. Today, His Beatitude was telling in the Capitol Hill that, we started in our Orthodox University, the only Orthodox university in the whole Middle East. That is the University of Balamand, founded by the church, and by the church leaders. And now, imagine, Orthodox University, we have a department for Islamic Christian studies to bring people together to understand each other. Like just he said it, that when I see you, when we communicate with each other, there is no place for evil. There is no place for killing and for beheading and for, all the hatred. So I accept you the way you are, and you accept me the way I am. And until this moment in Syria, you won't believe it. Until this moment, on that straight road of St. Paul, where our patriarchate is located, across the street, until this moment, we call that street, or that road or that area, Jewish area, because until a few years ago, many Jewish people, many Jews, a big Jewish community was very active in Syria. And all of a sudden, they shipped them out, not because of the Syrian government, because the international community started that the demography change and whatever, so they asked all the Jews to leave Syria. And when I was a high school principal in Damascus, and many Jews occupying part of the buildings of the Patriarchate, I passed by, greeted everyone, and they greeted me, and there is nothing, there is no hatred. So we are open, to receive any culture in this life and to communicate with everyone. Why this language? Why this, killing and beheading? And just like Nina said now about that, the many people found in somewhere in Syria. And this is one incident. But we can rebuild, we can reconstruct, and we can reconcile, and we can heal, but it has to be a good will, a good desire for that.
Under the Patriarchate, you have a department called Ecumenical Relations and Development. Now, that's a very odd combination of words here. Can you tell us about the important work that this department does? I know it's described as the largest independent NGO working in the country. What role does it play, and how can people help with the work that it does?
Thank you, Sam. Thank you. بس قبل ما أجيب على هذا السؤال بدي اسمح بس أن أسأل سؤال وأضيف على ما قاله سيدنا جوزيف بناء على الطرح اللي طرحتوه عليه.
Based on the discussion that you asked His Eminence Metropolitan Joseph, His Beatitude wants to add a few words.
أريد أن أتساءل معكم يا أحبة، أتعتقدون أن المشكلة في الميدل إيست بشكل عام وفي سوريا بشكل خاص هي بين السوريين أنفسهم، ولذلك وصل الوضع إلى ما وصل عليه؟
Do you really believe that the situation in the Middle East and in Syria in particular is an issue that started among the Syrians themselves?
أو يا ترى أن مصالح الكبار في هذا العالم
Or is it the interest of the superpowers in this world,
في مصالح عسكرية
political, military,
وفي مصالح اقتصادية؟
economic?
بهذه المنطقة عم نسمع عن وجود بترول وعن وجود غاز وخيرات كثيرة.
In this area where there is an abundance of many resources, including gas and petroleum.
فهل موضوع تقسيم سوريا هو لأنه الشعب السوري ما في يعيش مع بعضه؟ أو لأن الكبار بدهم يتقاسموا خيرات البلد؟
Is it because the Syrians themselves are unable to be together, or is it by splitting the interests of the country?
بعود على الموضوع اللي طرحته سام. نحن في عنا الديبارتمنت المهم في البطريركية. المركز الأساسي بالطبع المكتب الأساسي هو في دمشق في البطريركية، ولنا فروع في كل المناطق حاليا في كل أنحاء سوريا.
This department is not only limited to Damascus, but it has branches all over the country.
وهذا يعني هذه الدائرة تهتم بالعمل الإنساني، دعني أقول بالمساعدات التي نقوم بها للجميع في ضمن سوريا.
The aim of this department is to extend help to all Syrians, regardless where they are located.
ابتدأ العمل أو تم تأسيس هذا المكتب، هذه الدائرة في البطريركية من أيام النزوح العراقي بسبب الحرب التي تمت في العراق، وأتى بحدود 1.5 مليون عراقي إلى سوريا.
This particular department started its work after the Iraqi issues, where 1.5 million Iraqis left their country and came to Syria.
فالمحبة التي تكلمنا عنها
And so the love that we talk about in the understanding of the church
يجعلنا ألا نقف متفرجين أمام أحداث كهذه تحصل.
asks us that we should not just stay as witnessing to things without doing something creative about it.
ولذلك أسس البطريرك إغناطيوس الرابع بطريرك أنطاكيا المثلث الرحمة آنذاك هذه الدائرة.
That's why the late Patriarch Ignatius, the blessed thrice memory, is the one who established that department for that purpose.
لمساعدة العراقيين كما ذكرت الذين نزحوا إلى سوريا.
To help the Iraqis that were immigrated and forced to come to Syria.
وتطور العمل في هذه الدائرة ونمى بشكل كبير إلى أن أخذ الشكل الذي عليه هو الآن.
And this department became larger and improved until it reached the day as it is, doing its work to all the people in that region.
ونحن عبر هذا العمل نحاول أن نكون إلى جانب شعبنا السوري بشكل عملي، نساعده.
So through this department we try to be very practical in helping the Syrians remain in their own homeland and to be more productive and work.
بالتعاون مع العديد من الهيئات الدولية والمنظمات الدولية.
We get support from some international agencies and countries.
وأيضا كنائسنا كما مثلا كنيستنا في أمريكا كلهم بيساعدوا البطريركية في هذا الأمر.
All our archdioceses of the Patriarchate support us in that regard, including North America.
سيدنا جوزيف والأبرشية يقومون يعني عمل كبير بهذا الشأن.
The Antiochian Archdiocese in North America with His Eminence Metropolitan Joseph are doing a great job in that regard.
كما هناك كما ذكرت عدد من المنظمات الأخرى اللي عم نقدر نأمن بعض البرامج نقوم فيها في سوريا.
Including some other agencies that work together with us concerning that work in Syria.
بريد أذكر هون وضح هيك أمرين. الأمر الأول البرامج هي برامج للمساعدة متنوعة ومتعددة الأشكال.
There are varieties of such programs within that department.
ليس فقط يعني توزيع حاجات غذائية أو ملابس أو أمور من هالنوع.
Not only the preliminary distribution of things that are necessary and needed in their way of living,
ولكن نشكر الله عم نقدر نأمن بعض برامج على سبيل المثال مساعدة تجهيزات في مستشفيات.
we help in improving the work of hospitals
في بناء مدارس.
and in building schools,
في حفر بيار مياه ارتوازية في مناطق في صعوبة بوجود المي فيها.
and opening wells in areas where there is no water,
بدنا نذكر الكثير.
and many others.
والأمر الثاني أن ما نقوم به في البطريركية نقوم به على كل الأراضي السورية.
And what we do is not limited to a certain region or area, but it is on the Syrian land in general.
بطابع إنساني.
And it is initiated by a humanitarian effort.
ولذلك نحن في كل المناطق بغض النظر عن السياسة وبغض المناطق عن التقسيمات في سوريا حاليا.
Regardless of all these divisions and politics, we extend that service to all in general.
ونحن نقوم بمساعدة حتى المسلمين.
We help including the Muslims.
وهذا مهم جدا لأنه يترك آثار أخرى اللي هي تدخل في نطاق العيش المشترك والشعور أن كل واحد منا هو إلى جانب أخيه مسيحيا كان أم مسلما كان.
And that gives the good positive impression that both, including Christians and Muslims, are being together and they share the same life and same destiny.
Your Eminence, as the Metropolitan of North America, you have millions of followers, parishes, and all of this. But recently, because of the conflict, a new burden has been added on your shoulders. The politics, explaining, you talked about going to the State Department, dealing with politicians, never an easy task in it of itself. But you also deal with a lot of the other Christian communities in the United States, Protestant denominations, the Catholic Church, and many others. How do you evaluate the response of the other denominations to the suffering of the Christians in Syria? Has it been at the level that you hope for? Can more be done? Do they understand the suffering of their fellow Christians in Syria?
This nation is misinformed what's happening in the Middle East. You know, like many times we are put in a very difficult position when we have to answer what's happening in Syria. You know, like what you hear, what you watch on Fox News and CNN and whatever, it's maybe 0%. 0%. We don't hear about like the whole truth. So everything twisted, everything misinformed, everything, you know, like incomplete. And so people are confused here. People are, they don't know what to think. Like here, this forum, for example, this gathering in the Capitol Hill, in the State Department, we hear like many false, if you like, false questions. And we have to answer every single question. And they tell us, you know, like we didn't know, we didn't hear this before and whatever. So now our role, our position is to educate as much as we can. We don't accuse, we don't, you know, like haunt on everyone, like what to, like the way he is thinking, and but we have to repeat ourselves, as His Beatitude said. We have to repeat the same message. We have to say, like the same message repeatedly, and so this is our position. We have to knock on every door. We have to try to spread peace in Syria, in Egypt, in Palestine, in everywhere. I can't fathom, like, the Palestinian problem has been like over 65 years and there is no solution for that. Why? What we're doing in Washington, D.C., what we're doing in the offices and the Capitol Hill and the State Department and whatever, if we don't like deliberate, like to find a solution and a resolve for this situation, it might, last year I was invited to the celebration and the commemoration of the 100 years of the Armenian genocide in Washington, D.C. here in the National Cathedral. So I went there. It took them 100 years to recognize the Armenian genocide. Shall we wait another 100 years to recognize what's happening in Palestine or in Syria or whatever? I can't fathom that. We are highly educated, all of you and other people, the rest of the nation, and so we can think, we can deliberate, and we can find answers. Our people, deserve to have answers. So our church, the Antiochian Archdiocese in North America, is trying, beside the prayer and beside the Bible and beside the preaching and beside the teaching and beside everything, the charity we are doing. So we are trying to help this nation to be well informed and correctly informed. And we try to knock on every door for charity, for forgiveness, and for tolerance as well. I say in our churches, we have only one enemy. We don't have enemies. One enemy. That is the evil act, the evil mind, the evil mind. So one of, or the late, the Metropolitan before me was the Archbishop of North America. He said during the civil war in Lebanon, the destiny of others to kill and our destiny is to forgive. And he said also, I quote him, he said, as Christians in general and as Orthodox in particular, we like to be victims more than to be the killers. So this is the position of the Antiochian Archdiocese in North America. So we condemn any kind of violence and we condemn any kind of killing, whether in Syria or in Nigeria or in Pakistan or in anywhere. Like, look what's happening in Egypt, for example. It's unacceptable. Every day we hear about killing, like a community. All of a sudden, some people come and kill that community or burn a church or destroy a church or wherever. We condemn the killing, like the recent killing in London or in Germany or in Europe in general. So this is our position.
Thank you. We're already out of time, but I have to ask this last question. Pope Francis has talked about the ecumenism of blood, of how, despite theological differences, the blood of the martyrs unites the church. Syria, there has been a lot of blood spilled. How has the joint suffering of the Christian communities impacted the relationship between the Greek Orthodox Church of Antioch, the Syriac Orthodox, the Catholic communities, Protestant communities. I know just about a week ago, you were meeting with the Syriac Orthodox Patriarch. So how has this shared suffering impacted the relationship?
كيف دي ما أشوى ده
نحن صام على علاقة جيدة وممتازة مع كل المسيحيين ومع كل الكنائس يعني في المنطقة وفي العالم.
We have an excellent relationship between the Christians and the churches, not only in the region but throughout the whole world.
ونعم ونحن ذكرنا ذلك كما قال قداسة البابا أن الدم يجمعنا، ما هيك الاستشهاد يجمعنا.
As His Holiness Pope Francis said that martyrdom brings us together.
نعم نحن نسعى دوما من أجل وحدة المسيحيين.
We all seek for the unity of all Christians.
وهذا بغض النظر عن الظروف التي نمر بها.
Regardless of all the situations that we are going through.
ولكن خاصة في هذه الظروف علينا أن نكون أكثر فأكثر إلى جانب بعضنا البعض.
Especially during these circumstances that we are called and we should be together as one.
مثلا أنا شخصيا حتى على تواصل دائم مع البابا تادروس.
I am in continuous connection with His Holiness Patriarch Theodoros in Egypt.
ونشعر بآلامكم في مصر وما يحدث في مصر.
And we feel your pain and the suffering of what's happening in Egypt.
وعلينا كمسيحيين أن في الشرق الأوسط بشكل خاص وبشكل العالم بشكل عام أن نسعى جميعنا لنكون كل واحد منا إلى جانب الآخر.
And that's the reason that we Christians in the Middle East in particular and throughout the world that we should be one and together.
رافضين والكل في هذه الأيام كل المسيحيين يرفضون ما يسمى بالاقتناص proselytism.
And all the Christians in the world are against this idea of proselytization.
لأنه أيضا على هذا الصعيد كمسيحيين صرنا ملل كثيرة وطوائف كثيرة.
That is the reason that we become as a group of many facts and a collection of different denominations.
وللأسف هناك البعض الذين يحاولون في هذه الأيام في سوريا وفي يعني الشرق الأوسط بشكل عام أن يستغلوا الظروف القاسية التي نعاني منها.
And that is the reason that there is this attempt that because of the situations that we encounter there, the difficult times, we see that attempt of trying to hunt others from their faith.
وهذا مرفوض من الجميع.
And this is completely rejected by all.
علينا أن نعي أعتقد نحن كمسيحيين هذا الأمر.
We have to be aware of this particular issue.
وأنا منذ 5 سنوات عندما قمت بزيارة لقداسة البابا الفاتيكان.
5 years ago when I visited the Vatican City
and the Pope
and His Holiness the Pope,
صار الحديث عن هذا الموضوع وعن كيفية تعاون الكنيسة الكاثوليكية مع الكنيسة الأرثوذكسية.
The discussion was raised then concerning the relationship between the Orthodox and the Catholic churches.
ونحن نستطيع في كثير من الأمور الحياتية العملية الاجتماعية أن نكون إلى جانب بعضنا البعض على الأقل.
From a practical and everyday basis, we try and attempt to be together at least.
ولذلك نحن في دمشق مثلا يتأذى شخص ما بسبب قذيفة بسبب تفجير، نحن ما بنسأله إذا كان كاثوليك ولا أرثوذكس لحتى نساعده.
And so whenever there is any incident where somebody is victimized by a certain explosion or dies, we do not ask about his denomination or faith. We always extend our help to that person, regardless what he represents.
حتى ممكن يكون مسلم ونرقد ونساعده.
He could be a Muslim and we seek to help him.
وهذا ما حدث بعدة أوقات ومناطق بسوريا عندما تأزت الدائرة البطريركية الإكيب الجروب البطريركي اللي تكلمنا عنه. هذا ما قام به، كان أول الذين حضروا إلى هالمكان اللي صار فيه الأذى اللي صار وساعد الجميع.
And that is the reason whenever there was any issue that required that kind of destruction, the church was there to help all.
ولذلك نعم، إن كان كأرثوذكس أو كاثوليك أو بروتستانت،
As Catholic, Orthodox, or a Protestant,
كلنا مدعوين أن نتذكر هذا الأمر.
we are all called to remember this particular issue
وأن نعبر عن الفرح وعن المحبة اللي ممكن أنه تجمعنا، وليس أن نستعمل بعض الطرق والوسائل اللي ممكن حدا يكون عنده إياها أقوى من حدا آخر لحتى يجلب إلى طرفه ما هيك عدد من المؤمنين أو ما شابه.
And that is the reason we always seek to be there helping one another without giving the opportunity for others to take advantage of what goes on and to try to appeal others to join their particular denomination.
هذا موضوع مهم جدا، ولاحظتوا الروح اللي عم نحكي فيها والنفس اللي عم نحكي فيه.
This is the spirit in which we express ourselves.
ولكن للأسف هناك أحيان، إذا بدنا نتكلم بوضوح، بعض التصرفات الخاطئة التي تراها هنا أو هناك.
Despite the fact that in this particular issue we see some things that are not done properly.
مثلا في لبنان، في سوريا، وفي بعض مناطق أخرى تظهر مجموعات بأسماء مختلفة، الموعوظون الجدد أو ما شابه.
There are so many different groups, whether in Syria or in Lebanon, who take different labels and different groupings.
منهم يسمون الموعوظون الجدد،
who consider themselves as the new, those who are introduced into the new faith.
ويقولون عن أنفسهم رسميا وفي منشورات خطيا، يقولون عن أنفسهم أن عملهم هو أن يقوموا بتبشير القرى المسيحية.
And they, in their pamphlets, indicate that their mission is to Christianize the Christians in their villages.
وكأن بالنسبة لهم الإكس مسيحي كاثوليكي أرثوذكسي أو ما شابه، وكأنه مانو مسيحي وجاي يبشرنا بالمسيح. هذا خطأ كبير.
This is wrong because it gives them the impression as if they are coming to bring Christianity to those who are already Christians, whether Catholics or Orthodox.
أنا أشكرك سام على هذا يعني السؤال أو الطرح، لأنه مهم جدا.
Thank you for your question. This is very important.
وهو دعوة لنا جميعا كمسيحيين أرثوذكس وكاثوليك وبروتستانت أن نعي هذا الأمر وأن نكون إلى جانب بعضنا البعض ونسعى هذه المسيرة نحو مسيرة الوحدة والمحبة والتوافق.
It is a personal call that we understand and become aware of that all Orthodox, Catholic, and Protestant will attempt to seek that sense of Christian unity.
أنا وقت زرت حلب مثلا في الكريسماس الماضي.
Last year he visited Aleppo.
وبقيت 5 أيام بحلب، شفنا كل رعايانا وشعبنا الكبار الصغار اليوس الشباب الأطفال، زيارة رعوية لنقويهم في هذه الظروف.
He paid a pastoral visit and visited all the church organizations to give them encouragement and support during these circumstances.
وعملنا دينار عشاء تكريمي لرؤساء الطوائف المسيحية الموجودة في حلب.
And we had a reception and the invitation was extended to all the different denominations in the city of Aleppo.
مع العلم كما نعلم أنه في حلب حاليا ما بقى من المسيحيين 35 ألف مسيحي فقط.
Even though that in the city of Aleppo, we today have some 35,000 Christians only.
But we are 12 طائفة
And the
مسيحية.
35,000, that is represented by 12 denominations.
هذا شيء محزن وشيء مؤلم.
That is sad and unfortunate.
عشان هيك نرجو ال 12 طائفة يصيروا 11 يصيروا 10 يصيروا 9 وإذا إن شاء الله بيقوينا يصيروا حتى وحدة ما يصيروا 15 و16 و20.
This is his hope that these denominations, 12, will be reduced into 10, 9 until they reach that fullness of unity.
واسمح لي أقول وبجرأة أيضا نحن نرفض ونعي هذا الموضوع استخدام الدين لمصالح أخرى.
And I dare say that there is that attempt that people may use religion for that particular purpose, for other purposes than religion itself.
يعني هالبيبل أبونا هدول مانو هالبيبل هدول دول وقوى أهل هذا الدهر.
Not meaning as individuals, but countries and things that are related into this fallen world.
استخدام الدين خاصة بالميدل إيست سهل جدا لأنه أمر مهم جدا فاستخدام الدين وسيلة للوصول إلى أمر آخر للأسف هذا يحصل نحن نرفضه.
To use religion as a means to other ends is something that we reject and we refuse to get into it.
وأيضا ما بعرف إذا كان ممكن هذه العبارة لأي درجة تكون واضحة ومقبولة ومفهومة. إذا صرنا بحلب مثلا 12 طائفة مسيحية أيضا أطرح نفس التساؤل اللي تساءلته قبل قليل هل لأنه فقط نحن المسيحيين اختلفنا ببعضنا ما بعرف شو وتقسمنا بين بعضنا وفقط لأنه نحن أمر داخلي فصرنا 12 طائفة؟
So the question that we are reduced to 12 denominations in the city of Aleppo, is it just a matter of an internal affair that belongs to the citizens of that land?
أو في دول وفي جماعات وفي تمويل وفي دولارات عم تندفع وإلى ما هنالك هنا وهناك حتى يجعلونا 12 طائفة.
Or there are attempts, to make sure that through the means and the powers that they use, we become 12 denominations.
نحن كمسيحيين يجب أن نكون واعين لهذا الأمر.
As Christians, we have to be aware of this situation.
كما المسلمين أيضا لازم يكونوا واعيين لهذا الأمر.
And Muslims should also become aware of that.
أنه لا نحن نخطئ تجاه أنفسنا وما نتصرف بالشكل السليم في هذه الأوضاع وهذه الأزمات.
That we should continue to act in the right way during this time of crisis.
ولا أيضا نكون ألعوبة بأيدي خارجية ما بنعرف مينها تستخدمنا لحتى تعمل شغلها هي.
And we should not be just simple instruments in the hands of other powers that they may have their own agendas.
كلنا كمسيحيين وكدول وكشعب نحمل مسؤولية كبيرة بهذا الشأن في سبيل المحبة والوحدة والتفاهم.
And therefore we as Christians carry that particular mission to bring peace and love throughout all the world.
Thank you very much, Your Beatitude and Your Eminence, for the conversation. At the Hudson Institute, we not myself, but other scholars at Hudson have written extensively about the Syrian conflict. My colleagues Mike Duran and Lee Smith. But it's very important to hear from the different communities of Syria, their views of what's going on in the country. The plan was to allow audience questions. Unfortunately, they have other engagements that they need to run to. So unfortunately, we'll have to end at this, given the time. Thank you very much for attending this conversation.